Vegas adored him, Hollywood owned him, but when the applause faded, Sammy Davis Jr. went looking for a higher power and found the devil instead, or at least something dressed like him. Welcome back to another FBI Club meeting. I am your host, Rachel, and today we are diving into the wildly sad world of Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. was born in Harlem in 1925. Both of his parents were in the entertainment industry. His father was a lead dancer, his mother sang, and by 7 years old, Sammy was already performing. His parents ended up divorcing, his father dragged him on the vaudeville circuit, and little Sammy learned from a very early age, applause can replace love. Then came World War II. Sammy enlisted, but instead of medals, he got blatant racism. In his 1965 autobiography, he writes that when people hurled slurs, he fought back with his fist. The Army's response? No fighting for you, but you can entertain us. Sammy ended up creating this revenge ritual where he would scan the crowd, find the haters, and performed his heart out until everyone else adored him. That's probably the best F you can give someone. That ended up becoming his survival mode. F you, watch me do it. After coming back from World War II, fate struck literally. Driving through San Bernardino in 1954, Sammy was involved in a gnarly car accident that replaced his left eye with the glass one. A lot of left eyes like to be either covered up or shown or turned to glass, I've noticed in the Hollywood industry. With new vision, he decided to convert to Judaism, saying, I see the similarities between Jews and African Americans. He saw himself as an outsider in both worlds, both bound by suffering. By 1959, he ended up joining Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin in the Rat Pack. Using his fame to fight racial discrimination, they would actually not participate in club events that still practice racial segregation. Yet the cruel irony of it all is the same men who cheered him on behind the stage would also make the most fun of him. Frank would joke that you could only see him in the dark if he smiled. Dean Martin once used him to hold him up as a trophy when he won an award because of his small stature. Jewish comedians, his own idols, made him their punchlines, and by the mid-60s, Sammy was drifting. White people said he was too forward-thinking, and black people thought he was assimilated, like Uncle Tom, if you will. And when the world rejected him, he ended up finding belonging in the shadows. Swinging over to London, Sammy was captivated and immersed in a new lifestyle of drugs and sexual liberation. He was usually with rock stars like Mama Cass Elliot and Jimi Hendrix, all fueled by booze, weed, speed, and LSD. Davis ended up importing his new way of life back to America, and his LA home was practically turned into a nightclub. He had silver bowls of cocaine on top of his bar. He and his wife at the time were known for throwing wild swinging parties. Sex, drugs, and leave your keys in the bowl was what his welcome mat said. This is gonna sound terrible, and I apologize if you have little baby ears. I was doing my research and they said that he used to do amyl nitrate. I watched Fight Club when I was 9 years old, right? For the first time, something like that. And when that lady's up at the podium and she's like, I've got amyl nitrate. I thought she was saying anal nitrate, and I thought that was the brand name of a lube, because it sounds like annihilate, but it also sounds like a play on words. So I think I've been messed up since the age of 9. Amyl nitrates are actually poppers. So when I Googled what amyl nitrates actually were, it was like poppers. And I was like, oh, whippets. And then Google was like, no. And I was like, oh. So I still don't know what they are. I just know Sammy liked to huff chemicals. I don't know. I still don't know. Whippets, poppers, you're huffing shit, same stuff, right? I don't know my drugs like that. He was known to party harder than Sinatra. He collected women like cigarette lighters, but he didn't stop there. Sammy survived on the forbidden fruit of life. He ate up the fact that interracial dating was taboo and career suicide. He openly dated white women, married a Swedish actress, and the FBI, not us, the other ones, literally kept files on him for it. Imagine Hoover being in his Oval Office being pissed off because some black dude's holding a white woman's hand. I think we have better things to deal with. He leaned into excess, like clothes, cars, jewelry, sex, anything to make the spotlight burn brighter. By the late 60s, Sammy wasn't just looking for a party. He was looking for a real place to belong. Somewhere that told him, your desires aren't sinful, your darkness is divine. Okay, picture this. It's the late 60s. While Hollywood is selling everyone flower power, a new church was rolling in. But not a church with pews and stained glass windows. This one had goats, black robes, and an apocalyptic fashion sense. This was the Process Church of the Final Judgement. It was Glamour and Whore's bastard child at its finest. The cult was founded in London by Robert Day Grimston, who was like a wannabe messiah, and then his partner, Marianne McLean, who was, let's call her a bit of dominatrix and weird. They together broke away from Scientology because apparently Scientology didn't go hard enough. It's like, your cult's not culty enough for us. Also, would it be a cult if they didn't think the world was coming to an end? They thought that as well. But salvation in the Process Church can only come through embracing all four sides of God. Christ, Jehovah, Lucifer, and Satan. Love through Christ, wrath through Jehovah, light through Lucifer, and power through Satan. But it wasn't really the tagline that was bringing them in. It was actually their aesthetic. I mean, honestly, from one of the ads, I was like, okay, that's a vibe. I dress how they dressed most days, and then they say you can bring your dog. Cults got me. Their magazines would have full page spreads of them and robed figures and then holding on to snarling dogs at their side, and they're in the desert and all this craziness. It's kind of cool. It was rebranded religion almost. Naturally, that energy magnetized celebrities. Models, musicians, rich weirdos. Anyone who was bored ended up in their orbit. Idle hands are the devil's playground. Been told that my whole life. Rumors flew around them. Whispers placed them in the same circle as Manson. The Process Church denies any affiliations with Charles Manson. I guess he wasn't culty enough. I don't know. But they were like, no, we didn't know him. Son of Sam was mentioned in one of their chapters, but nobody really believes it, and nor is there proof of it. Sammy Davis Jr., though. He was watching. As a man who already lived in Mass, who was addicted to sex, risk, and reinvention, the Process Church wasn't scary. It was fun. Especially when the Process Church threw their wild candlelit gatherings, full of rituals, orgies, and performances. Sammy didn't just attend, he thrived. He finally found a place where his excesses weren't sin, they were sacred. Now, the Process Church was one thing, but if you really wanted to make headlines in the 1970s Hollywood, there was one name that made you instantaneously notorious. Anton Lavey. I'm expecting him multiple times throughout all my research if I go back in time. He was a big figure back then. He was the founder of the Church of Satan, and Hollywood loved him because he was a walking scandal everywhere he went. And guess who he counted as among his inner circle? Our Sammy boy. Yep. Sammy Davis Jr. was a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan. I didn't know they handed out cards. I got my proof. In a 2024 Rolling Stones article titled Inside Sammy Davis Jr.'s Secret Satanic Past, it reveals how Sammy didn't just play around, he threw himself at Satanism. forming a genuine bond with Lavey. Sammy enjoyed going to his infamous ceremonies. It wasn't about actual devil worship. It was just the fact that he was finally accepted for who he was. They told him, "Your darkness is divine," and he believed them. Maybe that's why he accepted Anton's gift of this satanic medallion. It wasn't just jewelry to him, it was a symbol that he finally belonged somewhere. Now for the satanic cherry on top, the 1973 pilot for Poor Devil. Are you ready? Sammy in a red suit, playing a demon that needs to earn his horns by collecting human souls. None other than Christopher Lee playing Satan. To me, the whole thing sounds like Disney took a detour in the underworld. Sammy sang, danced, and grinned his way through hellfire as if the devil himself was his stage partner. Of course it never got picked up. America was not ready for a primetime musical demon sitcom starring a black Jewish swinger with a satanic medallion. I couldn't imagine back then they would allow this show. I don't even know why they filmed it. It doesn't even sound like something they would allow back then. That's so wild. By this point, Sammy Davis Jr. wasn't just an entertainer. He was a man who tangoed with Sinatra and Satan and just made it look like showbiz. Now, cults, going back to the process church, cults usually burn hot and fast. The process church was no exception. By the mid-70s, cracks started showing, lawsuits started piling up, and money ran dry. The founders, Robert and Mary, had split in their own directions. Robert fading into obscurity, his Messiah act didn't hold for long. Mary, though. Mary, on the other hand, she is rebranded. You know, no big D. Except here's the kicker. They did not fade away. They fucking mutated. She said bye-bye to the robes, the skulls, the magazines. Then she said hello to puppies, kittens, and horses. Yeah. The very same group that once preached salvation through all four gods became the Best Friends Animal Society in Utah. They are open every day of the week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Not sponsored. Today, they're one of the largest and most respected animal sanctuaries in America. It's weird to me how, like, one day you're like a satanic cult leader, and the next day you're like, peace, adopt, don't shop. I'm just saying, from black masses to black labs, everyone deserves a second chance. You can have that tagline, Mary. In the end, Sammy Davis Jr. lived long enough to see that the cult he partied with had swapped hellfire for horse stables. So what do we make of all this? Sammy Davis Jr., he's Rat Pack royalty, a Jewish black icon, tap dancing genius, was a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan, waltzed through the process church, starred in a demon sitcom that never took flight. But under the chaos, it's not really about the devil at all. It's about belonging. Sammy was constantly walking on a thin rope. Too black for white Americans, too assimilated for black Americans, and too wild for polite society. The stage adored him, but offstage he ended up the punchlines. In my opinion, Satanism, the Process Church, Anton, Lavey, all of that was just, I would like to think those were just places where he felt like he actually belonged in a really messed up world. They were the moments in his life where he was finally able to control the narrative of what was going on around him. And it honestly just kind of reminds me of like high school. Like, you get picked on, you get bullied, and then you're like, somehow you end up the emo scene goth kid. And then everyone thinks you're satanic anyways, but it's like a phase. I don't know. That's like the vibe I get, I guess. Like, it's like I wouldn't do the things he did, but he was a man searching for power, family, and freedom, finding it in places most of us would never dare to go. By the 80s, Sammy, he would laugh off those phases as weird chapters. Don't we all have weird chapters? I don't blame him. I started this research off like, oh my god, Sammy Davis Jr. was satanic and sacrificing shit and and then it's like, now it's just kind of like, oh, he was just picked on for everything he freaking did in life. Kind of sucks. But he is immortalized as one of the world's most charming entertainers now. So I guess things ended up panning out for him, even though he died in 1990. Still worked out in the end. Would you watch the series, Poor Devil? If it was reshot and done well? Who would you cast as the demon and the devil? Let me know in the comments below who you would cast in the TV sitcom Poor Devil if it was aired now. You have to cast someone as the demon and Satan. I hope you enjoyed tonight's meeting. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week. Bye. I totally forgot to mention this, but Joe Pesci actually gets jealous of Sammy Davis Jr. in Goodfellas when his date brings him up and says how like charming he was, and then Joe Pesci gets really mad. Fucking love Goodfellas. So when I saw that after I did my research on Sammy, I was like, what? I didn't even realize he was mentioned in Goodfellas. So yeah, little movie fun fact. Yeah. Okay, that's all.